The barbell crashed to the mat like a gunshot in a crowded room. And in that split second, I locked eyes with him. Gideon, his face twisted not in pain, but in something rawer, like he'd just cracked open his own chest and found it empty. Asher, he gasped, voice breaking over the gym's hum of clanging weights and grunts. I can't pretend anymore. Not with you. My heart slammed against my ribs harder than any deadlift I'd ever chased. Because those words weren't a confession. They were a detonation, blowing apart the fragile wall we'd built between sweat and silence. It started 3 months ago in the dim fluorescence of Iron Haven Gym in Brooklyn, where the air always smelled like rust and ambition, and the mirrors reflected back versions of yourself you barely recognized. I was Asher Kane, 28, a freelance graphic designer scraping by on coffee and client revisions, the kind of guy who blended into the urban sprawl. Lean build from years of yoga and sporadic runs, curly brown hair that never quite obeyed, and eyes that my ex said could see right through bullshit. I'd been out since college, but dating in New York felt like dodging landmines. Apps full of ghosts, bars thick with fleeting glances, and that constant ache of wanting more than a hookup. The gym was my sanctuary, a place to rebuild what heartbreak had chipped away. Gideon exploded into my routine like a rogue wave. He was the new guy, fresh off a corporate layoff from some Wall Street firm. All broad shoulders and that effortless swagger that screamed Midwestern transplant trying too hard to fit the city's edge. 6'2", with sun-kissed skin from summers back in Ohio, close-cropped black hair, and hazel eyes that crinkled when he laughed. Like they were in on a joke the rest of us weren't. He was straight as an arrow, or so the grapevine whispered. Fresh breakup with his college sweetheart. Now crashing on a buddy's couch in Williamsburg, chasing a vague dream of personal training certification to pivot from spreadsheets to something real. Our first collision was literal. I was mid-squat in the freeway corner, headphones blasting indie folk that drowned out the world, when he backed into me, fumbling a kettlebell swing. It clattered across the floor, drawing stares from the meatheads on the benches. Shit, my bad, he said, spinning around with that boyish grin, wiping sweat from his brow with the hem of his faded Mets tee. Up close, he smelled like cedar cologne and fresh laundry. Clean, unpretentious. I waved it off, but he lingered, eyes flicking to my form. You're solid on those squats. Mind spotting me sometime? I'm Gideon, by the way. Just moved here. And this place is a jungle. I should have said no. Boundaries, Asher. Remember the last time you let a straight guy burrow into your orbit? But there was something in his earnestness. A vulnerability peeking through the bravado, like he was adrift in this concrete sea and needed an anchor. Asher, I replied, extending a hand that he shook with a grip firm enough to steady my pulse. Sure. Tomorrow, 7 a.m., don't be late. From there, it snowballed. Mornings blurred into a ritual. Pre-dawn commutes on the L train, steam from our breath fogging the gym windows as we traded sets. I'd correct his deadlift stance, chest up, core tight, and he'd fire back with tips on my pull-ups, his hands brushing my back to adjust my shoulders, innocent touches that lingered like echoes. We talked between reps. His ex, Emily, who bailed when the job loss hit, calling him unreliable. My last relationship, a chef named Theo who ghosted after I suggested therapy for his anger. Straight guys get the raw end sometimes, he'd joke, spotting me on bench presses, his voice low and confiding. Everyone assumes we're invincible. But damn, Asher, you're easy to talk to. Like you've been through the ringer too. He was right. We'd both clawed our way to New York with suitcases full of hope and half-empty wallets. Gideon dreamed of opening a gym for underprivileged kids back home, turning his pain into purpose. I sketched logos for queer nonprofits on the side, chasing stories that mattered. Our sessions stretched longer, post-workout shakes at the juice bar, walks along the East River where the skyline pierced the dusk like jagged promises. He opened up about his conservative family, the pressure to be the golden boy, how coming here felt like shedding a skin that never fit. I shared fragments of my own. Coming out in a small-town high school, the rejection from my dad that still stung like salt in a cut. But I kept the deeper currents hidden. The way his laugh lit something dormant in me, how I'd catch myself tracing the line of his jaw in the mirror's reflection. One rainy Tuesday, after a brutal circuit that left us both gasping on the mats, he slumped against the wall beside me, towel draped over his neck. "Hey, man," he said, voice hesitant, like he was testing thin ice. Emily's coming to visit next week. Wants to talk things out. I'm freaking out. His eyes searched mine, pleading for more than advice. I swallowed the knot in my throat, jealousy sharp and unbidden, and clapped his shoulder. You'll crush it. You're Gideon freaking Hayes. Just be honest. He leaned into the touch, just a fraction, and in that moment the gym's buzz faded to white noise. I pulled away first, heart hammering a warning I ignored. The visit came and went in a haze of his distracted texts. She's here. Dinner at that Italian spot. Then silence, broken by a late-night call at 2 a.m., his voice slurred with bourbon. Asher? It's over. For good this time. She said I'm different now. Like New York's changed me. I pictured him in some dive bar, neon flickering over his face, and drove through the downpour to fetch him. Our first real breach of the gym only packed. We ended up at my cramped Bushwick apartment, him crashing on the couch while I brewed coffee at dawn. Thanks, he murmured, eyes red-rimmed but soft. You're the only one who gets it. His hand found mine across the table, a squeeze that blurred every line I'd drawn. From there, the workouts intensified, like we were purging ghosts with every rep. We'd push each other to failure. Planks until our arms trembled, sprints on the treadmill that blurred into blurs of motion. But the air thickened with unspoken weight. I'd catch him watching me in the mirror, not just for form, but with a hunger that mirrored my own. One evening, as we cooled down with stretches, his fingers grazed my calf during a hamstring pull, and he didn't pull back. You're killing it lately, he said, voice rough. Makes me want to. I don't know. Keep up. The ellipsis hung between us, electric. Then came the betrayal, or what felt like it at first. A week later, scrolling Instagram over lukewarm takeout, I froze at a post from a mutual gym acquaintance. Gideon, arms slung around a guy's waist at a rooftop party, caption screaming new chapter. Bros. The guy was polished, Wall Street slick, everything Gideon had fled. My stomach twisted. Had I misread it all? Was this his rebound, a straight guy's experiment to spite Emily? I confronted him at our next session, words spilling out sharper than intended. Saw your post. Moving on fast, huh? He blinked, caught mid-lift, barbell hovering. What? That's just Derek, old frat buddy. Nothing like that. But doubt festered, a slow poison. I pulled back, sessions clipped and mechanical, my smiles forced like bad prosthetics. He noticed, of course. After a silent cool-down, he cornered me by the lockers. Talk to me, Ash. What's eating you? The nickname, new, intimate, undid me. I laughed it off, but he pressed, hazel eyes boring in. Is it because I'm straight? Because if that's it, He trailed off, jaw tight, and stormed out, leaving me with the echo of weights dropping like accusations. That night, alone in my apartment with the rain lashing the windows, I replayed every touch, every glance. Was I the fool, projecting my loneliness onto his kindness? Or was there a current pulling us under, one he was too scared to name? I texted him, sorry, just tired. His reply came swift. Me too. But we need to fix this. Coffee tomorrow? Not gym. Real talk. I stared at the screen, pulse racing. This was the fork. Turn back to safety or dive into the unknown. The coffee shop was a hole in the wall on Bedford Avenue. All exposed brick and mismatched mugs. The kind of place where baristas tattooed manifestos on their forearms. Gideon arrived disheveled. Flannel over a band tee, like he'd wrestled sleep and lost. We ordered blacks, no frills, and settled in a corner booth, the steam curling like questions. I hate this distance, he started, stirring absently. You're my best friend here, Ash. The one who sees me, not the facade. His foot nudged mine under the table, accidental or not, and I felt the damn crack. I told him everything then, the jealousy, the hope I'd buried, the fear of ruining what we had. I like you, Gideon, more than a spotter should. The words hung, vulnerable as exposed wiring. He went still, mug halfway to his lips, then set it down with deliberate care. Fuck, he whispered, running a hand over his face. I knew it was coming, and Shit, Asher, I've been fighting it too. His eyes met mine, stormy with conflict. Emily was safe, predictable, but you make me feel alive. Terrified, but alive. We didn't kiss. Not then. But as we walked out into the crisp fall air, leaves skittering like secrets across the pavement, his hand brushed mine again. This time I laced our fingers, tentative. He squeezed back, and in that grip was a promise or a precipice. The weeks that followed were a fever dream, the kind where joy and dread tangle like vines, choking the light. Gideon and I didn't label it. Not yet. We called it figuring shit out. A phrase as American as apple pie laced with uncertainty. Our gym sessions evolved into something sacred, almost ritualistic. The clank of plates a heartbeat, our shared breaths syncing like a duet. After, we'd detour to my place or his buddy's sublet, sprawling on threadbare rugs with craft beers, dissecting the world. His family's Bible Belt expectations clashing with my tales of pride parades that felt like rebirths. He was straight, or had been, by every metric. High school football hero, frat parties with sorority girls, that easy heteronormative script etched into his bones. But cracks had formed long before me. Whispers of curiosity in dorm showers. A college hookup with a roommate he buried under layers of denial. I thought it was phase, he confessed one night. Head on my lap as indie rock hummed from my speakers. Experimenting. But with you it's not. Real. His fingers traced idle patterns on my thigh, chaste but charged, and I learned the art of patience, of letting him lead. New York conspired with us or against us, hard to tell. Autumn painted the boroughs in golds and crimsons, and we'd roam like tourists in our own city. Ferry rides to Staten Island where he'd steal glances at the Statue of Liberty, murmuring, "She's got nothing on you," holding that torch. Laughter came easy then, a balm for the undercurrent of fear. But conflict brewed, insidious as the first frost. His buddy, Mike, the couch-crashing host, started side-eyeing our late nights, jokes laced with edges. "You two inseparable now? Careful, bro, Asher's got that vibe." Gideon bristled, but it planted seeds of doubt, making him pull back in public, our hands unlinking at coffee shop doors. The real storm hit on a crisp November Saturday. The kind where the air bites just enough to remind you you're alive. We'd planned a training hike up to the High Line, that elevated park snaking through Chelsea like a vein of green in the city's gray pulse. It was code for date, our first overt one. Picnic packed with sandwiches from the deli, a thermos of spike cider. As we climbed the stairs, his hand firm in mine, he grinned like a kid with a secret. "This feels good, Ash. Normal, even." We wandered the rails-turned walkways, wildflowers nodding in the breeze, the Hudson glittering below like shattered glass. Halfway through, disaster ambushed us. Emily, his Emily, materialized at the far end of a platform, arm in arm with Mike, her blonde waves catching the sun like a halo of judgment. She was all polished poise in a cashmere sweater, the picture of the girl who'd never question her place in the world. Mike's smirk was a knife twist. He'd orchestrated this, the bastard, texting her coordinates from Gideon's phone while he showered that morning. Betrayal hit like a sucker punch, not just from Mike, but from the fragility of what we'd built, exposed under her gaze. "Gideon," her voice sliced the air, sweet venom. We froze, hands springing apart like guilty sparks. She approached, Mike trailing like a shadow, eyes raking me with disdain. "Who's your friend?" The word friend landed like an accusation, and I felt Gideon's tension coil beside me, a live wire. "Emily, what the hell?" He stepped forward, shielding me instinctively, but the damage was done. She laughed, brittle. "Mike said you were exploring with him." Her gaze flicked to me, dismissive, then back to Gideon, pleading masked as pity. "Come on, Gid. This city's poison. You're not like that. Remember who you are." The words gutted him. I saw it in the flicker of his jaw, the way his shoulders slumped under the weight of old scripts. Mike chimed in, bro code turned weapon. "Dude, we looked out for you. Thought you needed a reality check before you throw everything away." Betrayal doubled down. Mike's loyalty bought cheap by his own discomfort with Gideon's phase. I stood there, picnic forgotten on a bench, feeling like an intruder in my own story, the gay best friend turned villain in their straight world narrative. Gideon whirled on Mike, voice thunderlow. "You went through my phone? Spilled to her? After everything?" Fists clenched, he looked ready to swing, the athlete in him surging. But Emily stepped between, tears welling like ammunition. "He's right, Gideon. This whatever it is, it's a rebound. Hurt me, fine, but don't hurt yourself. She glanced at me, venomous. He'll leave you broken, just like Theo did to him. I googled you, Asher. Runaway heartbreaker. The lie stung. Theo had been the breaker, not me, but it fueled her narrative, painting me as the seducer, the corrupter. Gideon wavered, eyes darting between them and me, the internal war raging visible. Ash isn't. You don't know him, he stammered. But doubt crept in. A serpent in Eden. The High Line, once romantic, closed in like a trap. Tourists milling past, oblivious to the implosion. Go, I said, voice steady as I could manage, grabbing the thermos to have something to hold. Handle your family drama. I'll wait. But inside, panic clawed. Was this the end? Our fragile thing shattered by ghosts? He didn't go. Not immediately. Fuck this, he growled, rounding on Mike with a shove that sent him stumbling. Get out of my life. Both of you. Emily recoiled, hurt flashing to fury. You'll regret this, Gideon Hayes, when he dumps you for the next pretty boy. She stormed off, Mike trailing with muttered curses, leaving us in the wreckage. He turned to me then, face ashen, chest heaving. Ash, God, I'm sorry. That wasn't. Words failed, and he pulled me into a hug, fierce and desperate, right there amid the flower beds. His body shook against mine, not from cold, but from the quake of choosing me, us, over the easy lie. They're wrong. You're not a rebound. You're everything. We abandoned the hike, retreating to a dive bar off the park, nursing whiskeys in a booth scarred by decades of confessions. He unloaded. Mike's jealousy over his glow-up, Emily's clinginess masking control. They want the old Gideon, the safe one. But I can't go back. Not after you. His hand covered mine on the table, public now, defiant. That night, he stayed at my place. Not on the couch but beside me. Our touches tentative explorations. Fingers interlacing, foreheads touching, kisses that started soft and built to something seismic. No rush, no frenzy. Just the slow unfurling of trust. Bodies aligning like puzzle pieces long separated. But the betrayal lingered, a shadow. Mike's stunt rippled. Texts from mutuals probing, Jim whispers turning sidelong glances into stares. Gideon hardened, withdrawing into work, pounding the pavement for trainer gigs while I buried myself in deadlines. Our harmony frayed. Arguments sparked over nothing. Him snapping at my overthinking, me accusing him of shame. You're still hiding, I'd say, and he'd fire back. I'm navigating, Ash. Give me time. The romance soured into suspense. Every call a potential minefield. Climax brewed on a sleeting December eve. The city hunkered under gray skies that mirrored my mood. I'd wrapped a freelance project early, surprising him at the gym with takeout from his favorite falafel spot. But he wasn't there, his Jeep absent from the lot. Panic flickered. Texts went unread. I drove to Mike's old sublet, now Gideon's solo crash pad, heart in throat. The door was ajar, light spilling like an invitation to hell. Inside, voices, his low and pleading, Emily's sharp as shattered ice. Point one mistake, Gid. Come home. Asher's just a phase. I froze in the threshold, takeout bag crinkling like accusation. He stood by the window, back to me, her hand on his arm. Betrayal redux or closure? Stop. It's over, he said, but his posture screamed war. Shoulders tense, eyes downcast. She saw me first, lips curling. Perfect timing, intruder. Gideon spun, face draining of color. Ash, wait. But I was already bolting, sleet stinging my face as I fled down the stairs, the bag abandoned like my dignity. He caught me on the street, tackling me into a hug that nearly bowled us over. Don't run, please. Rain mixed with tears mine. His, as we stood under a flickering street lamp, cars hissing past like indifferent judges. She showed up unannounced, begging, but I told her I'm all in. With you. His voice broke, raw. Mike poisoned everything, made her think she could save me. But you're the one who did. We argued there, in the downpour, me raging at the near miss, him vowing to cut ties for good. I almost lost you, he choked, and I saw the depth. Not just attraction, but love, humanistic in its mess, forged in conflict. Then don't, I whispered, pulling him close. The kiss that followed was our vow, fierce, unyielding, the city blurring around us. Winter clamped down on Brooklyn like a vice, turning breaths to ghosts and sidewalks to black ice. But inside us, something thawed. Gideon severed the old ties with surgical precision. Mike blocked, Emily's number deleted. A scorched earth email to his family back in Ohio. I'm building my life here, on my terms. Love you, but this is me. It wasn't easy. Nights came when he'd pace my apartment. Phone clutched like a lifeline he refused to answer, murmuring apologies to shadows. They made me feel like a fraud, he'd say, collapsing beside me on the futon, head in my lap. I'd stroke his hair, whispering truths. You're no one's fraud. You're Gideon, brave, stubborn mine. Our rhythm rebuilt, stronger for the fractures. Gym mornings resumed, but now with stolen kisses in the locker room, his lips tasting of mint and mischief. He landed a part-time gig at a community center in Bed-Stuy, training at-risk teens, his dream inching real, kids with eyes like his younger self, hungry for more than survival. I joined sometimes, spotting from the sidelines, heart swelling at how he knelt to their level, voice patient. Form first, power follows. It was humanistic poetry, him paying forward the grace I'd given him. Yet suspense lingered, a low hum under the romance. New York, for all its rainbow flags, still bristled with edges. Catcalls on the subway when we held hands. A coworker's snide DM to Gideon. Heard you're going full rainbow. Careful, bro. He laughed it off, but I saw the flinch, the echo of Emily's words. My own doubts surfaced. Was I enough, or just the catalyst for his awakening? Late nights, sketching by lamplight, I'd trace his profile from memory, wondering if love could outrun fear. The true climax crested on New Year's Eve, that artificial reset where resolutions mask regrets. We'd planned low-key, house party at a queer friend's loft in Greenpoint, fairy lights strung like stars, bass thumping through exposed beams. Gideon was nervous, tuxedo tee tucked into jeans, fidgeting with his cuff. Crowd's your scene, not mine, he admitted in the cab, knee bouncing. I squeezed his hand. It's ours now. The party pulsed with life. Drag queens lip-syncing anthems, couples swaying in clusters, champagne flutes clinking like toasts to survival. Gideon stuck close, charm masking unease, but as midnight neared, the energy shifted. Mike crashed the gate, uninvited, drunk and belligerent. Emily on his arm like a trophy of spite. Word must have spread. Betrayal's gift that keeps giving. They cornered us by the makeshift bar, Mike's breath sour with IPA. Look at you, fairy princes, he slurred, eyes bloodshot. Emily hovered, manicured nails digging into his arm, her smile a scalpel. Gid, this is pathetic. Hiding in a den of deviance. The room hushed, eyes turning, our private war spilling public. Gideon's face hardened, that athlete's resolve igniting. Get out, Mike. We're done. But Mike lunged, grabbing his collar, voice a venomous hiss. You threw us away for this? Some limp-wrist pity fuck. The slur landed like a bomb, and time fractured. Gideon shoving back, fists flying in a blur of rage. Me diving in, pulling Mike off as Emily shrieked, nails raking my arm. Chaos erupted. Friends intervening, security. Really just the host's burly boyfriend, hauling them toward the door. But not before Emily's parting shot, hurled like a grenade. You'll crash and burn, Gideon, and when you do, don't come crawling back. The door slammed, leaving echoes, and the party stuttered back to life. Awkward glances our way. Gideon sagged against the wall, knuckles split, breath ragged. Ash, I'm sorry. Again. Blood trickled from a cut on his lip, and something in me shattered. Not anger, but fierce protectiveness. I led him to the bathroom, dabbing the wound with a damp towel, our reflections fractured in the mirror. They're ghosts, I said softly. Let them haunt someone else. He cupped my face, eyes fierce through the pain. No more hiding. I love you, Asher. Not as a phase, not as rebellion. You, all of you. The words, simple and seismic, unlocked the flood. Midnight struck outside, cheers erupting. But we kissed through it. Slow, profound, the world fading to our shared breath. Confetti rained unseen. This was our countdown, from fear to fortitude. The aftermath was cathartic, a shedding. Gideon pressed charges for assault. Minor, but a line in the sand. And Mike slunk back to Ohio, Emily in tow, their toxicity exposed. We didn't celebrate the fracture. Instead, therapy sessions in a sunlit office overlooking Prospect Park, where he unpacked the straitjacket of his upbringing, and I confronted my walls of guarded hope. Love's not a workout, our counselor said. Wry smile American as baseball. It's the recovery, stretching into the ache. Spring bloomed tentative, cherry blossoms dusting the gym's rooftop like confetti from that fateful night. Gideon's program at the center thrived, kids blooming under his wing. One. A shy 15-year-old named Jamal, confiding his own questions over protein shakes. You give me guts, Coach G, the boy said, and Gideon teared up later, whispering, That's you, Ash. You gave me mine. We moved in together that June. A one-bedroom in Crown Heights with creaky floors and a fire escape for stargazing. New York stars, faint but stubborn. No grand gestures, just the quiet romance of shared grocery lists, his hand in mine at farmers' markets, arguments over dishes dissolving into laughter. The humanistic heart of it. We were flawed vessels, cracked by betrayal and doubt, but mended by choice. His to embrace fluidity, mine to trust again. One rooftop evening, city hum a lullaby below, he turned to me, hazel eyes steady. Remember that first crash? Kettlebell, your steady hand. I nodded, grinning. Best collision ever. He pulled a small box from his pocket. Not a ring, but a key, etched with our initials. To whatever deeper means. Together. It's not fairy tale perfect. Conflicts linger. Family holidays fraught. Societal side eyes sharp. But in the gym of life, we're spotting each other. Breaths synced, pushing toward unseen reps. Gideon uncovered more than muscles that first day. He unearthed us, raw and real in the sweat of becoming. And damn, it feels like home.